On public comment. The public is allowed to speak on items or issues or items that are not scheduled for discussion on the agenda. Comments should be limited to issues and items germane to the business of the governing body. The commission won't discuss or debate these items, nor will the commission make decisions on items presented during this time. Members of the public will be limited to 3 minutes for comments. Sir,
say, please come up to the podium to me this week.
Mr. Aravi, if you would like to start off public comment, you're more than welcome.
Because you're going to have to invite me up here very clearly from now on, Mr. Littleman. And the reason is because last week when you decided to shut me down, you mixed up your words a little bit and you forgot that you actually tried to tell me to be germane before you decided to come up with this second story claiming that you had never started public comment. You fucking idiot. I've got it all recorded on that camera right there that looks right at you and holds you accountable for the whole fucking meeting. So you want to lie and make up bullshit and have police arrest somebody and charge somebody for bullshit that is lies? Let's do it. Because I'm going to call you as a witness, and I'm going to call her as a witness, and I'm going to call her as a witness and find out what she saw from the back room. You want to put me in court? We're all going to court, Bart. We are all going to court. I'm going to subpoena every fucking one of you. I do find it quite interesting that a couple weeks after you have a sergeant in here unwilling to follow along with your clown show and have somebody ejected, that suddenly we have deputy chiefs in here every week. Make sure the Lawrence Journal-World, you get a good picture there? Good. Why do we have a deputy chief in here every week? And how much money is that costing us because of your feelings? He's on overtime, I assume. This is an overtime assignment for police officers, isn't it? Why is it that your feelings are costing us that much money? And why is it that you can't keep a commissioner out here? You're the mayor. And you're going to allow that commissioner to disrespect this entire town and walk away when the public is up here speaking. After she had lectured us over our misunderstandings about taxes with gobbledygook that made no sense. As I said a moment ago, you're the one that should not be up there because you're the one that keeps creating situations that are going to involve lawsuits if you don't knock it off. And you keep putting other people involved in it. Every time you have those damn police move on your bullshit and whatever you came up with in the back room last week, nice move. It's not going to work. I have you on film, and you should have reviewed my footage before you made a decision to lie. Tonight, you had another person come on up here, and a person that doesn't come in here very often to the meetings and tell you that he's getting attitude from your city staff. Why is that? So it's not just us, right? So do we have a problem with city staff that you people are ignoring? That people that don't come in here and cause issues for you? That's what you claim. We're just causing issues for you. But even they get the attitude. Check the time, man. I got 20 seconds left. You got 20 seconds more of me talking to you, Bart, where you have to sit there and keep your fucking mouth shut. Is it that tough? Congratulations. You made it through your first 3 minutes with me in more than 3 weeks. Good job.
My name is Dr. Justin Spees. This past November, I filed a lawsuit against both the City of Lawrence Commission and one of its mayors for violating my right to free speech and equal protection under the law for silencing me multiple times during general public comment. Part of my lawsuit challenged the subjectivity of the City Commission's public comment policy, specifically that general public comments should be limited to issues and items germane to the business of the city. Your motion to dismiss my lawsuit states, quote, the challenged speaking policy of the city is not unconstitutionally vague because a person with ordinary intelligence would understand what speech is prohibited by the policy. Furthermore, the policy does not create a specter of arbitrary enforcement. The text of this policy provides ample opportunity for an ordinary person to understand what speech is prohibited during this portion of the public meeting. This policy is plain and simple. It provides that if a speaker wants to provide testimony during the general public comment portion of the meeting, the speaker is plainly on notice that his speech must be germane to the business of the governing body. There is no ambiguity in the text. Rather, it straightforwardly provides adequate notice to the comments that the comments must be germane to the business of the governing body, close quote. At last week's meeting, I spoke during general public comment about this lawsuit, and while doing so, I pointed out inconsistency after inconsistency in the city's subjective interpretation and application of its speaking policy on items germane to the city's business. business. And you, Bart, stopped me and said it wasn't germane to the city's business. And then you said because of that, I was disrupting the meeting and asked the police to remove me again. Thing is, during my allotted time to speak, I spoke specifically and only on the inconsistencies in your past meetings. I presented specific examples of how at your past meetings I was allowed at some times and then not allowed at other times to talk about COVID, and also that I wasn't allowed to even mention the phrase USD 497 before being removed from the meetings for supposedly not being germane to the city's business. I then also presented specific examples of how other speakers were allowed to talk about those same items that I wasn't allowed to talk about. So questions for you. I need you guys to explain to me how a person of ordinary intelligence would know what's germane to the city's business if talking about the inconsistencies that take place right here in these city meetings by you, the city, is not germane to the city's business. Does it get any more germane than that? Also explain how a freaking lawsuit the city is named in for violating free speech at the city meetings isn't germane to the city's business. How would you explain that away? Doesn't get any more germane to your business than that. Recently, LJ World reported that the city has spent $26,000 on this lawsuit and another one. They got that figure from an open records request. That alone, that it takes an open records request to obtain financial information from the city, proves that my lawsuit is related to the city's business, but also the $26,000 the city has spent defending itself is the taxpayers' money. So explain how the city's tax money expenditures is not germane to the city's business. Talking about an item the city is spending tax money on is somehow off limits in here. How could it not possibly be any more germane? How am I or anyone supposed to know what's germane to the city's business if city tax expenditures and city lawsuits aren't germane? And so that creates what's called unpredictability and the chilling of speech. And it's a subjective interpretation and application of your policy that leads to discrimination against me and my viewpoints. It's viewpoint discrimination.
Hi, this is Chris Flowers, and I'd just like to point out that I think some of the inconsistency is because we have a different mayor every year. Like, if you listen to some of what the inconsistencies is, it's not necessarily stuff Littlejohn's done in the past. It can be stuff Larson did when she was mayor, or even Shipley when she was mayor. So I just think we need to get more consistent and stop changing mayors every year. And also, a question I have is, how long is Sellers gonna stay hiding in the back? Some of that stuff she listed, like why she's doing that, I would say some of the distraction she's protesting against is stuff that the mayor's allowed. So I just want to know, when it comes time to choose a new mayor, is she just going to go along with everyone else like she did last year, not ask any questions, and then just continue hiding in the back because of how the meetings are being run? Like, if she's going to hide in the back, then I say she should grow a spine and actually talk about who she wants as mayor, what your flaws and what your strengths are, and you all choose who would actually do the best job. And if we spend over $20,000 on lawsuits about how these meetings are being run, shouldn't you all talk about how are we going to keep going with tradition, or should we at least look at, if we start choosing a mayor based on who would do the best job, would that reduce some of the lawsuits? So I just want to throw that out there, and I hope Sellers does actually discuss some of her concerns about how these meetings are being run. I hope she discusses that before she just votes for the next person to be mayor. Thank you.
Hello, David Baston. I know it was brought up several times that the brick roads last a lot longer. So,
sir,
can't speak on that.
Yeah. It was an agenda item.
Well, dang it.
That's a warning. It was on the previous agenda. You cannot bring it up.
Okay. Yeah. We ought to do all of our streets like that. But anyway, Yeah, so when people do bring up things that maybe somebody has done in the past to you commissioners, and maybe you acknowledge it, is there any way you could maybe say that you acknowledge anything that anybody's speaking, so it might not be brought up every single time, because nobody is really seeing that some of these things that are brought up are even acknowledged at all, and obviously they can't be acknowledged in public comment because you don't respond. But I don't know. I mean, people would like to know on some of these issues that are being brought up, if anybody even acknowledges, and maybe you feel like you didn't do anything wrong in any of these situations. But I think it'd go a long way if something did happen and you acknowledge that maybe you were wrong in that instance, if you could say something along those lines. Yeah, I still find it kind of strange also that Amber just won't even face the public at all, which is yeah, I just don't get that a lick, other than, I mean, if somebody's going to say something related to her or what have you, they're going to say it regardless whether she's in the back or not. So if you can't face the public, I don't think you should be a public servant. Yep, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.
Again, thank y'all for having me. My name is Isaiah Lanier. I just wanted to provide a little bit more clarity about what I spoke to earlier about my utility bill. I believe the passive aggressiveness that came was when...
Sir, you already spoke to that, to the city manager's report, and that was discussed there. What I'll do is I'll get with you after the meeting so I can get your information, and I'll follow up with you.
Okay. All right,
thank you, sir. Sherry, any on Zoom?
Yeah, we have a few folks that are moving over now. Sarah Hill Nelson.
Hi, my name's Sarah Hill Nelson. I just want to check that you all can hear me okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to speak very briefly to support the city's efforts to try to help move some of our houseless residents in the community out of the encampments that we have. And I know they've been challenged on a lot of counts for that, but I think it's really important for the rest of us in the community to understand that, you know, from my perspective, moving people out of encampments is not only beneficial to the community as a whole, but it's really for the health and well-being of the people that are living in the encampments themselves. So, you know, really at our SOC every day, we see, I think you all have heard me say this, but really tragic situations. And it ranges from people that are really deeply suffering from some kind of drug psychosis or other mental health issues that are not being taken care of. And so for us, we see that, and we see they're not getting the attention they deserve, and we support the city's efforts to put them into situations, either returning them to their own supports that they have in their own communities, or moving them into supervised setting in the shelter or at pallet where they can get the help and support that they need. So on a daily basis, we do see people that are living in Amtrak going down into the river to defecate, to urinate. All that goes right into the river. The drug paraphernalia that we run into on a daily basis is a hazard for our staff and for anybody that's in the parks. Today in Centennial Park, a person was chased by someone that was believed to be living in the park. I know that at that park on a daily basis, they're encountering needles and drugs and pipes. And so I think for us as a city to really try to focus on the safety of all the individuals in the community, housed and unhoused, I want to appreciate what commissioners are doing And I welcome people to visit Bower Falk if they have any questions about what we're experiencing down there. But thanks to the commissioners and the rest of the city for their support for all the people and trying to get them moved into safe housing that's safe for them and the rest of the community. Thank you.
Julie Jones.
Hi, thank you for having me this evening. Julie Jones, 66047. I have a couple of things I would like to share with you in my new idle time as a retired person, retired school teacher, that I now have time to look at for the city. I stumbled across an agreement between the city and Bowersock that talks about the city purchasing the Bowersock building or the water plant and the surrounding buildings, not the tools. And this agreement ends in 2027. So I hadn't heard anything or read anything about that agreement coming up. And some of us were talking that potentially could be a savings to us here in the city, depending on how much we use Bowersock for the water and for the electricity. My next topic is, did we ever hire somebody as a bag patrol person? Because I'm starting to see paper bags floating around in the air like we used to see with the plastic bags. So I couldn't find a title for that person. So I'm not sure if we really have a bag patrol person there, but the paper bags are showing up. And then I addressed this is my next topic. I addressed Misty Boss Hastings on this, and I shared with her that through my research back in 2012, they did sweeping of the homeless, and evidently that did not work. So they abandoned the program, and now here we are back in 2024 sweeping again. And listening to the board of the homeless program, it's and the Kansas Coalition for Homeless, it's clear that we don't have the long-term housing for those people to move into, because they do not, with me talking to them, they do not want to do this in and out in the short term for one night stay. So they want to stay in their camps where it feels like home to them. Doesn't look like home to us, but it is to them. So anyway, that's something I brought up with Misty. And then my last thing I shared with Misty is, we as the public need to know about your progress for a place for everyone, because you're wanting us to pass a sales tax, but yet we have zero numbers on how you're doing on your progress. I suggested to her that to send the commissioners weekly, how many people did you house this week? How many did you put into drug rehab? Because we have no idea. Even if you go to board meetings, which I did, they don't talk about that stuff. They're just talking about the...
I'm Julie, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Watts.
Am I on there for you guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
Very good. Bart, that guy was going to talk about the deportment of staff and not his water bill, and he could have been guided to do that. Just a comment. You know, going back to the going to my email that I sent in as public comment about a non-resident being placed on the Affordable Housing Advisory Board. You know, you're not supposed to be sneaking people into important appointee slots by not asking for an exception up front. You know, I wouldn't have known had I not viewed the video, and I rather suspect most others don't know or wouldn't know that this individual doesn't have any ties to Lawrence in terms of residency, nothing. Now, either you guys didn't know yourselves, and that's bad enough, but to not know it or to know it and not reveal it during the course of the administration of voting them. I mean, it's just, it's tawdry. It's specious. So what manner of nonsense is going on such that out-of-towners help create and drive policy for affordable housing? I'm in that category because it's 80% or less of the adjusted median income. And I think that the town, through the current Affordable Housing Advisory Board makeup, and it was exciting to see the meeting and who became the chair and the co-chair, because it didn't go exactly as people thought it was going to go or wanted it to go. But there are monies that are available and yada, yada, yada. It's just, it's not a good idea to be putting in people who don't live in town into these boards. I mean, what? Can that go on for a city commissioner next? You know, well, they don't live here, they work here, and so it's okay for them to be a city commissioner. Or what about an absentee landlord who has significant real estate holdings here but doesn't live here? Can that person be on a board? Can that person be a city commissioner? It's just something to think about. In a totally different vein, I'd like to let you know that the 2023 annual police report is now on the town website. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Now we're just about time to do the 2024 one. As a little bit of dark humor, I got to say that maybe the police did it on time, and it's just been sitting around over in that guy's office waiting to get uploaded because it wasn't viewed as a priority. That seems to be some decision making that's going on. So at any rate, please, can you please correct this error with respect to an out-of-towner? I don't know anything about this person, nothing, just that they don't live in the town. They may be very well qualified, but you know what? So are a lot of people on the East and West Coast, North and South. Thanks a lot. Take it easy.
One more, Mayor. Jeffrey Hepler.
Evening, Commission. Thank you for your time. First of all, Amber, come back, girl. What are you doing? Just come back. You can take it. Second of all, I'm afraid y'all gonna get sued, and it's just not by the good doctor. It's gonna come from many sides. There's been a lot of inconsistencies that I've been seeing from the sidelines lately, and I just want to say that they're not going unnoticed. And it's not just by me. You may or may not recognize my face, but my name's Jeffrey Hepler. I'm from 66044 is my zip code. I work at Limestone Community School as the chef and outdoor educator. I have an army of children behind me, man, and they see you. And they ready to vote. That's all. Thank you.
That's all the comments, Mayor.
All right. I would entertain a motion then.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
First and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved 4 approval and 1 absent. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Not tuning in. She's just not even participating in this part of that. So the whole bit about tuning in from the back, which is a lie, right? There's a lie. And if all those threats and all that behavior existed, you'd have charges on people. All that conduct she described, all about speech,